Are you ready to exchange that crazy concrete jungle lifestyle of the city for a more laid-back lifestyle right here in the Texas Hill Country? Ryan Rendon, Rendon Realty Group, your favorite realtor right here in the Texas Hill Country. In today's video, I'm giving you 7 reasons why you should move to the Texas Hill Country to escape that crazy city lifestyle, especially those of you who live in that Houston area, because I know a lot of you guys have been relocating to our area. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this list started with number 7, and that is we do not have a salty climate or salt trucks in our area. This is one of my favorite things about not living in a snowy climate or along the coast. So when I was active duty in the Air Force, I lived out in the central coast of California, and I always felt like everything was always so salty out there, which had a pretty negative impact when it came to our vehicles. So apparently when salt comes in contact with metal components of a vehicle, such as the body, the frame, undercarriage, and suspension parts, it promotes the oxidation of metal, leading to corrosion and rusting. Salt can obviously also cause paint damage, brake and exhaust system issues, and even electrical issues. Not good. Okay, so number 6 on the list is we rarely have snow. This has to be one of the top reasons most people contact me about moving to Texas from the northern states, because most of them can't stand shoveling snow anymore, or they're just physically not able to do it anymore. And according to the San Antonio report, snowfall in Texas Hill Country happens every few years, but it seldom lives up to the forecast presented on the nightly news. If you are lucky, you witness a dusting that lingers on the ground for a few hours and then quickly melts. This is definitely true for the most part, but the last 4 years have been a little unusual when it comes to the amount of snowfall that we've had. Especially during that crazy winter blast in February of 2021, in which some areas of the Hill Country received almost 8 inches of snow. But again, typically we don't really get snow down here, and if we do, it's hardly anything to fuss about. Okay, so this brings us to number 5 on the list, which is our lower humidity levels. If you have been living along the Gulf Coast of Texas, this is probably going to be one of your favorite things about moving to the Hill Country. There is nothing worse than as soon as you get out of a shower, step outside, you instantly start sweating because it is so darn humid. Well, don't worry, you typically don't have to worry about that here in the Hill Country. And really, the only time we have humidity is if we have an excessive amount of rain during the summer months, which tends to drive up those humidity levels. But like I said, for the most part, we typically have pretty low levels. And according to championtraveler.com, the Hill Country does have humid months and slightly dry months in the opposite season. The least humid month is August, which is 39.5% humidity, and the most humid month is December, which is 60.4%. I personally would have thought that one of the most humid months would have either been April or May, because that's typically when we get the most amount of rain, but what do I know? Honestly, it probably just depends on the year. Okay, so before we get to number 4, I want to hear from you guys. What have you thought of these topics so far? And what do you think number 1 is going to be? Let me know down in the comments below. Okay, so number 4 on the list is we have very little traffic. So if you live in any of the major cities here in Texas or even other states, you're probably completely fed up with the amount of traffic you have to deal with on a daily basis. Out of all the Texas Hill Country towns, I would say the 2 towns that probably have the most amount of traffic is probably going to be Bernie and Dripping Springs. Bernie, I would say, because a lot of people are coming in and out of San Antonio every day for work or maybe even dropping off kids, but a lot of people like to live in Bernie rather than San Antonio, so you see a lot of that traffic. And then for Dripping Springs, kind of the same situation, but for Austin. You have a lot of that daily traffic coming in and out of Austin every day from Dripping. Now on the weekends, Fredericksburg does tend to have a little bit more traffic, but that's because of the amount of tourists coming in to visit all the wineries and do their shopping. But if you stay off Main Street, for the most part, you're going to be okay. Kerrville also has a little bit of traffic around 4 or 5 o'clock when people are getting off work or picking up the kids from school. But if you stay off of the main streets, for the most part, you can also avoid all of that traffic. Okay, so this brings us to number 3 on the list, which is our local hunting and fishing. Now, I have talked about this information in past videos, but there is nothing wrong with going over this information again, because I know a lot of you who are moving to the hill country absolutely love to hunt and fish. So let's go ahead and get started with talking about a little bit of hunting. So not only can you hunt native species like dove, quail, turkey, or white-tailed deer, but our region is very known for the wide range of population of exotic animals that come from all over the world. The list of exotic animals in our area is actually pretty large, but you will primarily see feral hogs, aoudad sheep, axis deer, elk, sika deer, fallow deer, black buck antelope, and even the massive nilgai antelope. But here in Gillespie and Kirk County, you'll primarily see axis deer roaming the region. And according to landassociation.org, axis deer have been roaming Texas since 1932 when they were brought in as game species to South Texas. Now for all you anglers, the Hill Country regions is known for the scenic rivers, lakes, and streams that provide habitats for a diverse range of fish species. You can find anything between bass, trout, catfish, carp, and sunfish, also commonly known as perch. And just make sure you get your hunting and fishing license and get familiarized with the hunting and fishing regulations for the state so you don't get in trouble. Okay, so number 2 on the list is for all you wine connoisseurs. So Fredericksburg, Texas and the 290 Wine Trail has become the second most visited wine country in all of the United States behind Napa Valley. According to visitfredericksburgtexas.com, there are more than 50 wineries, vineyards, and wine tasting rooms located in Fredericksburg's Gillespie County, not to mention the dozens more wineries located within an hour or 2 drive. The Texas Hill Country is known for producing a variety of wines. The warm climate, diverse soil types, and hilly terrain of the Hill Country create favorable conditions for grape cultivation. Some of the popular wine varietals that are produced in the Hill Country include Tempranillo, Mourvedre, Viognier, Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, Blanc du Bois, and Sangiovese, just to name a few. And if you want a breakdown of the top 10 wineries that was put together from polls on social media and also my personal opinion, make sure you watch my video up above, which is the top 10 wineries here in Fredericksburg. Okay, so this brings us to number 1 on the list, which is the close proximity to the cities and airports. So one of the best things about living in the Hill Country, and for me specifically living in Fredericksburg, is the close proximity to the San Antonio Airport, but also the Austin Airport, but not having to live with that crazy city lifestyle that we talked about earlier. And if I decided to go on a trip tomorrow where I needed to hop on a plane, I could be to the San Antonio Airport in roughly an hour to hour and 15 minutes, and in the Austin Airport within an hour and 30 minutes. In today's day and age, working from home is pretty common, and having the ability to get to an airport quickly is pretty important. So Fredericksburg and Kerrville both are within, like I said, an hour of the airport in San Antonio. And then Boerne is roughly only 30 minutes or so from the airport, depending on what side of Boerne you live on. But maybe being closer to the airports really isn't that big of a deal to you. Another great aspect about being in close proximity to San Antonio and Austin is the ability to do more shopping, either it be clothes shopping, furniture shopping, or maybe it's your new flooring or tile for your home's remodel. So what do you think? Can you see yourself living here in the Texas Hill Country? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, if you're thinking about buying or selling anywhere around the Hill Country, I would love to be your realtor of choice. All my contact information is above. Make sure you watch this next video. We'll see you in the next one.